Welcome to The Christian Statesman. I'm your host, Zach Wagner, and this is episode 21, America and Brinksmanship. This episode contains a brief history lesson relating to where we are today. In 1941, the Japanese executed a sneak attack against Pearl Harbor. Many Americans are taught this event historically. We even have the last remaining members of a generation who remember the event well. But the historical context of that attack is significant today. Prior to the actual attack by 3 Japanese carriers, the Japanese military high command had long discussions and debates about a military option against the United States. The main pressure point was U.S.-led embargoes against Japanese aggression in other parts of Asia that were being conducted at the time. An incorrect and prevailing sentiment that Americans were soft and would relent after such an attack, come to the negotiating table and grant Japan her strategic demands, carried the day among the Japanese high command. Many Japanese military leaders viewed Americans as soft, wealthy playboys who would not put up much of a fight. After the attack was concluded, Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto, the architect and leader of the whole affair, uttered the famous phrase, "I am afraid all we have done is awaken a sleeping giant and fill him with a terrible resolve." The events of the next 4 years proved prophetic, and by the end of the war, American forces had turned the entirety of Japan's industrial production into a pile of ashes. Admiral Yamamoto's wise insight is telling. America is a country that has enjoyed unparalleled wealth and prosperity. The lowest economic classes in America live better than the average citizens of many underprivileged countries. Many Americans today are both soft and distracted in numerous ways. But just like December 1941, it is probably not the best idea to back freedom-loving Americans into a corner. It is never a good idea to consider a game of brinksmanship with any people. When individuals sense that their lifestyles and livelihoods are in real jeopardy, they tend to stir and get serious. America has always responded in such ways when push comes to shove. The latest shenanigans surrounding our election are a fine example of this. It may be, with evidence of blatant election fraud surfacing in every swing state, that many conservative and Constitution-loving Americans have simply had enough. The sleeping giant may be stirring. Forces who wish to subdue America and lead us gently with flaxen cords into a big government, socialist nanny state with universal government overreach might want to be a bit more cautious. It is one thing when we see things as unfair. It is entirely another when we sense that there is something seriously wrong and our freedoms may be under attack. Comparing the election to Pearl Harbor may seem like an extreme analogy, but we have to consider the possibilities. If the mounting evidence of widespread fraud proves accurate, what are the implications and alternatives? If true, it is a direct attack on our liberty and our representative system. Every fraudulent vote negates a legitimate vote and overrides the actual will of the people. Today, an attack can be just as decisive without guns or bombs. In an era of electronic everything, it is possible to harmfully affect people's lives with the stroke of a computer keyboard. If such events have actually been perpetrated, do not be surprised if there are Americans who awaken and declare, "Not on my watch." As Yamamoto understood, it is unwise to roust a slumbering giant. Thank you for joining us today. Please subscribe and don't forget to tell your friends.